In December last year, history was made in Brookhaven, Georgia, after John Park was elected the state's first ever Asian American mayor. He won a runoff with 59% of the vote. After being first elected to the city council in 2014, Park had campaigned on his experience as a long-time Brookhaven council member and now assumes his role at a pivotal time for Brookhaven, with various challenges and opportunities shaping the city's future. Tell us more about his story for this week's Touch Base in Seoul. We have Mayor Park of Brookhaven himself joining us via video call. Mayor Park, hello and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
Well, first, congratulations on your recent election win. I understand that you were sworn into office at the start of the year. Tell us, how does it feel to take on this role now?
Just an immense sense of pride and actually relief as well. It was a very long and challenging campaign, and it's been something that's been culminating for a long time. And I just feel a great sense of responsibility. It's a little different than being a council member. As a council member, you vote and vote on things, but as mayor, we initiate the various issues that come before Brookhaven.
Right, so you're taking a much more greater responsibility, so I'm sure you'll feel the weight of that burden as well. You certainly come a long way since your beginnings in the US. You understand you came to the US as a young child from South Korea. Can you tell us a bit more about your roots?
Yes, so I was born in Gwangju, in the Jeonnam province in the southwest. When I was 6 years old, my father came over to the United States on a student visa in political science, and then he decided to become a minister. So he became a Presbyterian minister after immigrating to the United States. So we stayed and set down roots, and we've been here in the South ever since.
I understand that some political activism runs through your family. You said your father studied political science, but one of the reasons he came to the US was because of some political issues, I understand, at the time.
Yes, there was during the Gwangju uprising, my father was a translator for Terry Anderson, who was reporting for the AP. And as some people may remember, the Korean government at the time wasn't particularly happy with Terry Anderson, and as a result, wasn't particularly happy with my father as well. So
right.
We got out.
Right. So I understand that inspired you somewhat in your political career. So as he said, you came to the US, you grew up in Alabama and Georgia and went to college in Georgia as well before starting your career as a technology consultant, initially for IBM, I understand, and then later for the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in the US. So then what led you to get involved in local politics?
So about 10 years ago, I really had no interest in politics. We've had this trend in Georgia to start new cities. As you know, there were counties that started to grow and have a lot of people, and people wanted more direct representation. I actually was not particularly, I didn't want a city. I'm more of a, kind of a live and let live kind of person. But when the new city was not what we wanted, was not delivering on their promises, some neighbors and I got together and decided that something had to be done. And I was basically chosen by my neighbors to run for office, and I did so. And as a result, won and worked with like-minded people to change the direction of the city of Brookhaven.
Right, so can you tell us a little bit more about Brookhaven for our international listeners? How big is it? What's its demographic like? And what sort of issues will you have to face as mayor?
So Brookhaven is a city directly adjacent to Atlanta, to the north, with about 60,000 residents, 12 square miles or 31 square kilometers. Demographics, there are actually very few Asian citizens of Brookhaven. They're only about 8%. The rest is about almost 60% white, about 20% Hispanic, and a small Black population as well, about 12%. The great thing about Brookhaven, it's very diverse in terms of economics as well. We have some of the richest neighborhoods in the state of Georgia in the United States. And we also have a very large immigrant community with some of the poorest precincts in the state of Georgia. So it's very challenging to have a different set of needs throughout the various parts of the city. And as a new city, we've had some growing pains, obviously. We had to get our services established. We had to get our police established and really empower and involve as many citizens as possible, and not just the chosen few that started the city of Brookhaven.
Right. So amid this situation, you said you didn't particularly have political aspirations when you first became a council member back in 2014. But then once you took on that role, what was it like?
Well, I became inspired by some of the issues that we had as a city. We had a lot of flooding issues throughout the city. We had some infrastructure issues. I felt like we were growing too much and developing every piece of land, the various green spaces. So we took a more balanced approach and established more parks and established more connectivity, and to just really have a healthier environment for our citizens as we grew, and it grew in a smart way.
And not just the day-to-day, perhaps, running of the city you helped with as a council member. I understand that you played an instrumental role in getting a statue established in Brookhaven honoring the victims of Japan's wartime sex slavery. That came after the statue was belatedly rejected by the Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta due to apparent pressure from Japan. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so some of my colleagues, I understood, were part of that effort, and there was a deep sense of injustice. There was a contract basically signed with the center. It was supposed to go there, and they basically reneged on their promise. So I just felt like we needed a location with some clout, not just the Korean Community Center, somewhere that would be prominently seen, and really tell the Japanese that government, not the Japanese people, particularly the government, that we do not appreciate their efforts to basically try to get people to forget history and to try to change history. So one thing that about the United States and cities in particular is that city councils have pretty much absolute control. And I understood that, and I saw that. And so immediately I went about lobbying the rest of the council. There's a old rule in politics. It's called learn how to count. Right? And so we had to count the votes to get 3 out of the 5 members of council in there to establish a statue. And we picked a very, I would say, ironic location. It was at the Cherry Blossom Festival grounds where we host that, where annually we actually invite the Japanese consul. I can say that he no longer visits the Cherry Blossom Festival once the statue was established. So we wanted to make a statement and say that truth and justice will win in Brookhaven.
Right, so it's quite a bold statement. It does seem then that your Korean roots do play an important role in your life and in your politics as well then.
Yeah, so I grew up, with my extended family. I grew up with my grandmother. She used to tell me what life was like under the Japanese occupation, and how important it was to maintain our identity. My mother used to always say, you even though you feel American, you speak perfect English, you're well integrated, you're always going to be a little different. And people, when they look at you, they're going to see a Korean or an Asian and not necessarily an American. And I took that to heart. And so, even though I represent the people of Brookhaven and represent the people of America, I also have a unique perspective on the immigrant community and in particular Korean Americans.
Right. So then what does it mean for you to become the first Asian American mayor in Georgia then? What do you think it means for perhaps representation and diversity and all that?
I think it's empowering. And I think it's really what it does is that for people that may have thought, oh, we're outsiders, we're not outsiders anymore. And I think it establishes that. And what it means to me personally is just the level of pride that my parents, had in my accomplishments of getting elected and really becoming, being a pioneer in the state of Georgia.
And I'm sure the Korean residents in Georgia are celebrating your win with you. Georgia has quite significant ties with Korea and Korean companies as well, I understand. Especially, it's going to get a boost soon as well, with Hyundai Motor Group setting up its first U.S. plant dedicated to making EVs in Bryan County in the state. I understand that it's expected to create 8,100 new jobs. How important is that relationship between Georgia and Korea, do you think? Although I'm not sure how much it will affect Brookhaven itself, but still, as a Georgia resident, I'm sure you must have thoughts on it.
Well, Brookhaven, not so much, but we are definitely very interested if a Korean company would like to locate in Brookhaven, maybe their headquarters, or we would very much welcome them. So I'm going to put that plug in. Georgia is about opportunity. I think Georgia has taken the lead throughout the country on economic development and really reaching out and attracting businesses and really bringing prosperity for its community, and I think it has borne fruit with the amazing growth that we've had in Georgia through all sectors. Just because there are these 8,100 jobs, that has a cascading effect on the rest of the economy, and really throughout the entire state we see that benefit, and I very much want to be a part of that.
Well, you've just gotten started in your role as mayor. Finally, what do you aim to achieve? What message do you have for the residents of Brookhaven?
So we've started the city. We're not exactly a new city anymore. Now is time to establish our city as in a permanent way, and establish the processes. Establish really physically we need to build our city hall. We need to build our various infrastructure, and make what we have and what we've built more useful for more people. And that will be the goal of my administration, to really stabilize Brookhaven and make permanent the gains that we've made the past 10 years.
Well, congratulations on your mayorship once again, and we wish you the best of luck leading Brookhaven. We've been speaking to Mayor John Park of Brookhaven, Georgia. Thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you very much.